Hey Jake, thanks for coming onto Social Dream Machine. I'm excited to talk to you. I know you've written over 2,000 titles and you've had over 100 million views on YouTube. So we're going to talk about like 5 different things that you've noticed or patterns throughout your journey. But I guess could you just explain how you ended up getting like writing that many titles and getting that many views in the first place?
A couple years ago, I got my dream job working for a fishing company, and I live in Florida, so we like to fish down here. And all I was doing was watching fishing videos and putting them on YouTube. It was awesome, and the only like problem with that was I was in YouTube for the first time because I was a media buyer and like email marketing, so kind of like all marketing director, marketing manager kind of thing. And then I was also doing YouTube, and I was really bad at writing titles. And my boss was like, all right, so that's like the most important part of this job is to write titles because that is like one of the most important things on YouTube. And he was really good at writing titles, and I was really bad. And he couldn't really explain what makes a good title. He tried it. He did a pretty good job, but like I don't know, it just wasn't clicking with me. But I eventually figured it out, and we published twice a day on YouTube for like 2.5 years. So I got a ton of reps in. We also sent like 2 emails a day, so I got reps in writing email subject lines. But yeah, just getting a ton of reps, and then just studying. I've taken notes on like 1,100 titles, and those like all those notes are published, and that's all that has helped me. And then I've A/B tested a couple hundred titles. So when you get all those reps in and focusing on just one thing, you eventually kind of stumble into being pretty decent at it. So that's how I got started. And I wanted, since like nobody else was talking about YouTube titles, like I almost got fired because I couldn't figure out how to write a good YouTube title. There were no really good resources. People like, oh yeah, like build curiosity. And it's like, okay, how do you do that? So I kind of made it my personal mission to teach people practical ways of how to write better YouTube titles.
Before we get into like the 5 things, can you just explain what the purpose of a title is and how does it relate to the actual thumbnail? Are they supposed to be different, or are they supposed to, obviously there's probably a million different ways to approach that, but what's your thoughts on it?
The purpose of the title is just to let somebody know, or to let the right person know what this video is about and why they should watch it. So it kind of is like, hey, it's, if like someone's like standing at the door, like you're walking down the street, it's like, hey, come in here, come into my shop. And it needs to be inviting, it needs to call it the right person, needs to kind of, there's a lot of jobs of a title, but you really, and if you don't have a good title, if it's like, you're at a busy shop and like, or you're on a busy street, there's a bunch of shops and everybody is outside like, hey, like try this, like free food, try this. And like, there's nobody standing outside of your door. Like people are just going to walk right on by. Right. So if you don't have a good title, nobody's going to watch your video. And if nobody watches your video, you are going to waste all of that time, all that time that you spent making the video. And then 2, you're not going to get any benefits from the video. You're not going to get any leads, sales, subscribers, views, whatever it is you're trying to do. If nobody watches, nobody's going to, you're not going to get any of those benefits. So it's only like 7 to 15 words, the YouTube title, but it's one of the most important things. Like if you can nail YouTube titles, there's almost infinite leverage of how well you can grow on YouTube. So the huge part I love regarding like the relationship of titles and thumbnails. I think they need to complement each other. One big mistake that a lot of people make is they kind of repeat each other. So like maybe the title is 5 things I wish I knew before starting a YouTube channel. And then the thumbnail would be 5 things I wish I knew before starting a YouTube channel. And it's like, oh, like you're kind of missing a big opportunity. And it's not as much of a mistake, more that it's like kind of an opportunity missed, where like you could really like drive home your message and call out the right audience and give them a huge reason to click by having complementary titles and thumbnails. So yeah, just an opportunity miss. So like in that example, 5 things I wish I knew before I started my first YouTube channel might be like, oh, I regret this. Like that would be good thumbnail text. Something short and sweet to kind of grab their attention, read your title, be like, oh, like this video is for me. I do want to watch this video. So that's how it's the job of a title and how they should relate to thumbnails.
My other question, just for my own itching in my head. So what about like if you have a title that says like, I don't know, some sort of bold claim and like you don't have that right away and when the video starts, that seems to be a flaw too. Like you have to, how quickly do you have to deliver on whatever it is the title says? Is it like right away in your eyes?
So this is like the reason why you come up with a title first, so that, so you ideally you start with a title, and that title is based on, okay, I know what my audience likes. I know what gets people to click. I'm going to write a title that delivers on those two premises, what my audience likes, what gets people to click. And then ideally your intro, like kind of, very quickly is confirming the click. All right. Like, yes, like, you have to deliver on that promise that you made in the title. So a lot of people talk about clickbait, and I think that like oh, that's way too clickbaity or whatever. I think as long as you deliver on the promise that you made in the title, then it's not clickbait. So if you're talking about how I got 1 million views in 5 days, well, like if you actually got 1 million views in 5 days, like, okay, that's not clickbait. You're just telling your story. But anyway, it's a little bit of a kind of something that can be hard to balance, because a lot of people are worried about their brand. They don't want to be too sensationalized. But again, the job of a title is to get people interested and to get them to click. And there's so much that goes into it. But yes, ideally, you start with a good title that is going to get people to click, and then you deliver on that promise you made in the title right away.
That makes a lot of sense to do the title first too, and think about it ahead of time so that your video matches what it is that you're doing. And I think a lot of probably people do it in reverse when they're new. So let's talk about, out of the 2,000 videos that 2,000 titles that you've created, what would you say is, like, I don't know, it could be negative or positive, but let's just go over like 5 tips or things that you've noticed or patterns. You can start with number 1.
I think I told you I was about to get fired because I was so horrible at titles. And the thing that I learned that kind of got me over the hump initially was to never be original. So I would do like, I would have to write a title about, let's just say trout lures. And I'd be like, all right, I would come up with something from like the top of my head. I'd be like, oh, let's, insane trout lures that catch a ton of fish, or, something like that. I would just, from the top of my head, I would just, try to write all these things down, and they always kind of stunk. And the thing that kind of switched for me was like, okay, instead of me just trying to come up with something from the top of my head that I'm thinking that would work, why don't I go to YouTube and model something that has proven to work? And we're southeastern United States saltwater fishing, so we're a little bit niche, and we were also educations. There was a couple like Florida like entertainment saltwater fishing channels, but there wasn't really anybody in our niche. So instead, what I would do is I would go to finance channels, and it'd be like, okay, top 10 credit cards of 2024. So okay, let's do top 10 trout lures of 2024, and like boom, that was that like little thing of never being original and just looking kind of adjacent to my niche or outside of my niche for inspiration was a thing that really helped me turn my title game around. And it's funny to say that because like, that's also like kind of the easiest way. Like, you don't need to really know what makes a good title. All you need to do is know how to look for good titles. So going for like kind of, similar or adjacent niches, if you make educational content, go for other educational content. If you make entertainment content, like let's say you're like in like the NBA niche and like you make entertaining videos about the NBA, go to soccer, go to baseball, go to football. Just try to find similar but different niches and just straight model those titles. And that's kind of the easiest and also one of the best things that you can do for writing titles and coming up with ideas.
Is that because they've already worked in other industries, you think, and they're sort of proven already to work somehow in other areas, and maybe just try that because they have data on them potentially?
So ideally, you're kind of looking for like proven videos to model. So, you would kind of skim through a channel and like, all right, 10,000 views, 12,000 views, 8,000 views, 15,000 views, 100,000 views. Okay, boom. This is a big outlier. There's something about this that did well. And it was it was likely the psychology of how the title was written. It could also be a really good thumbnail, or it could be just a really good topic. So those are 2 things that you kind of need to look out for. But ask those questions. Is it did it do so well only because of the title or only because of the topic? But but if you study these outliers enough, you're going to eventually get it to like, oh, okay, I think it was the title that did so well. So that's one thing. And then we also we would review a lot of products. So we would like review a fishing reel. So instead of trying to come up with, something off the top of my head, I would look up, vacuum review or iPhone review and look at all the top results of those. But okay, like here's how you write a good review title. So that was, it's kind of like a cheat code for writing titles, is just see what works for other people and write it for yourself.
Makes sense. Study things and do something with your own kind of vibe. What about number 2?
What makes a good title is the 3 click-worthy emotions: curiosity, fear, and desire. And it's curiosity, fear, and or desire. Many titles have 2 of those emotions. Some only have 1. A very select few have all 3. But those are the 3 emotions that, like, if you want to know what makes a good title, those 3 that's the simplest answer. What makes a good title is curiosity, fear, and desire. So really once I kind of figured that out, I really started studying, all right, how do you tactically build curiosity? How do you tactically leverage fear? How do you leverage desire in your titles? So that's, once you start kind of mastering those emotions, then you will you won't have to rely so much on modeling other channels, other titles. And also, as you're finding these outliers to model, you'll be able to have a better filter of like, oh, this is actually a good title. Like this wasn't just a fluke or so some other, it wasn't just the thumbnail that made it so well. So that'll help you kind of narrow down what actually makes a good title and how to write good titles. And then you can also modify. So like, all right, 10 best, top 10 trout lures of 2024. Maybe that's like top 10 trout lures of top 10 Florida trout lures of 2024. So I'm going to increase the desire by making it more specific, calling out a specific audience. The top 10 trout lures for Florida fishermen in 2024. It's like, okay, sweet. Like now I want this more, like my desire is increased because I feel like this video was made for me. So that's how you can kind of take that modeling to the next step.
Fear seems like one of those ones that I see a lot of politicians using fear in general. And obviously I don't want to talk about politics, but in general, why do you think fear works? Is it just like a way of quickly getting someone to, I don't know if it's something about the IRS or something like that, or something that's going to cause the person harm? Like, why do you think fear works well with people?
Fear works so well because we were biologically wired to listen to warnings and fear and stuff. So if I tell you, hey, Jeremy, there's like, let's say like we're in the Stone Age, right? And I'm like, we're chilling in our cave. And I'm like, hey, Jeremy, there's some berries outside. Go pick them. You might be like, I'm not hungry right now. Or yeah, sure, I will. Like, it doesn't matter that much if you listen to me or if you don't. Advice is okay. But if I say, hey, Jeremy, there's a saber-toothed tiger outside, don't go outside, you are 100% going to listen to me. Because if you don't, you're going to die, right? If you don't listen to me when I say, hey, go pick some berries, maybe you'll miss one meal and you'll be a little hungry. But the consequence isn't as much as you listening to a warning. So we are biologically or genetically wired to listen to warnings. And I think that's a big reason of why fear works so well.
And one last quick question about desire. Desire is the opposite of fear, I would imagine. It's something that you yearn for, or how do you look at desire in your mind?
Talking about benefits, hopes, dreams, those kind of things, interest as well, just trying to think of like, all right, what does my audience want? What are they interested in? And then a couple of ways to kind of increase that desire is to make it more specific. So like trout lures of 2024. Okay, like, these are trout lures that are happening right now. Trout lures every Florida fisherman needs. Okay, I'm calling out like a specific audience. It could be like, I used this trout lure and caught my personal best. It's like, okay, there's like some credibility there. And then there's that also, like, I use this trout lure. There's like some curiosity. It's like, oh, what is that? What is that lure? So, so those are all different ways to increase desire, because kind of the easiest title to go viral with is negativity, is some drama, some fear, a warning. And then also kind of on the flip side, when you're talking about desire, if I tell you, hey, Jeremy, you won the lottery, I don't need to be like, Jeremy, you'll never guess what happened today. It's like, no, like you don't like, just tell me like you won the lottery. But not all of your videos are about winning the lottery. So, and that's why you need to kind of spice it up a little bit with making it more specific or timely, or, just kind of, I don't know, making it a little bit more desirable.
Everything seems to run around psychology, I'm realizing, with most things in life. What do we got for number 3?
The big mistakes that people make. So I've got a couple here, and the biggest mistake that people make is talking about the wrong topic. So let's say, all right, going back to the fishing channel example, if we start talking about hunting, all right, that's not what people are here for. If you're a finance channel and people come to you for like stock, and there's kind of like a spectrum too. Like if you're a finance channel, people want your stock investing tips, then give them, stock investing tips. If you start to go out and talk about like real estate investing tips, there's a chance that like that's not why they want to watch your channel. So they're not going to watch those videos. So, and it depends. There's so much that it depends on. It depends on your traffic source. Like, is your strategy to rank in search? And like, you're not building an audience. Like, okay, that doesn't really matter. Like, just try to rank in search, and your audience will be whoever is searching that. If you're trying to get on the homepage and get in suggested videos, then you want to have a more of a kind of a focused topical strategy, I guess. And then also it depends on, why are people watching your channel? Are they watching it for the topic, or are they watching it for you? So, if they're watching it because you're entertaining, they don't really care, and they love you, they don't really care what the topic is about. Like, they are there for you. If they are watching because they want to kind of get a benefit of, they're trying to learn something, then they're like, it's very topic driven. So in that case, like, all right, you really have to know, why are they watching your channel? And so that you can deliver on that promise. You can also be too wordy. So if you're too wordy, one, it'll be harder to read, and people just aren't going to, they're not going to have the patience to read your whole title and decide if they want to watch a video. Also, another problem with being too wordy is that it can get truncated. So if your video is like, 10 things I wish I knew before I started my first YouTube channel. Well, if 10 things I wish I knew before I started my first, that doesn't tell me what the video is about. There's a chance that YouTube channel, which was what the video is talking about, if that main subject gets truncated, little like ... and if that gets truncated, then nobody's going to know what your video is about. So that really stinks. So being too wordy is another big mistake. And that, where the title gets truncated, it really depends on where on YouTube you're searching. Are you searching on the side? Like, is it the sidebar? Is it the homepage? Are you on mobile? Are you like searching on the channel page? So I don't have any strong, solid recommendations for that, but just try to make your title short and punchy. And then another, like, kind of the final mistake there is just being too boring. So we talked about the 3 click-worthy emotions earlier: curiosity, fear, and desire. If people are not leveraging those emotions, or not leveraging them well, and if it's too boring, then that's a big mistake, and people are not going to click on your videos.
You just reminded me too of something before we get to point 4, but I don't know, if like you're a Dan Co, for example, like you could really write about like anything at this point, because you have such a big brand. Like, you have millions of followers, and like you could write about finance, about psychology, spirituality. But I feel like those people, are the only reason they could do it is because they've already got such a big name for themselves that they're able to talk about whatever they want, because they're sort of like a mini celebrity at that point. And I think that like YouTube in general, people are like looking, it's a search engine, so people are looking for this specific advice, and they're looking to get an answer for that advice. And so it makes a lot of sense what you said there about nailing the topic. What do we got for point 4?
Point 4, we're going to get a little tactical here. I wish I knew how to build curiosity. So I think I hinted at this earlier, in that everybody knows that they need to build curiosity, but nobody actually talks about how to do it tactically.
Sure.
So I'll just rattle off a couple quick ways to build curiosity. So the first way is to open a loop. So opening a loop is when you are, you might know this as a cliffhanger or a curiosity gap. It's essentially you're starting a story, but you're not finishing it. So like, if I had 0 subscribers on YouTube, I'd do this. So, okay, what is this? So you're starting a story, you're not finishing it. You're opening up a loop there. You can also reveal a secret. So, like we are all nosy people. And if someone kind of in their title says that they're going to reveal a secret in their YouTube video, then, then people love that. So, yeah. So, you can imply that there's a secret. It's like, here are 10 money hacks nobody talks about. It's like, oh, here's a secret. Like nobody talks about them. Also like, here's the secret to making money. So that's like, hey, like this is about a secret. This is very explicitly about a secret. So you can imply that there's a secret, or you can just explicitly say, hey, this is a secret. 2 more ways of building curiosity is one, you can be counterintuitive. What does your audience currently think? And then how can you like kind of counter that? You can also think about this as like challenging assumptions. So, one example of that is from Noah Kagan, and the title was "How this billionaire works a normal job." It's like, dude, that's not possible. Like, you can't be a billionaire and work a normal job. Like that's not how it works. So really think, how can you be counterintuitive? How can you go against what people think? And then the final way of building curiosity is to add a constraint. So constraints are just like, they kind of make people say, wait, how is that possible? So, one good example of that is, it was from a productivity channel. It's this 1-page productivity hack will change your life. So it's like, all right, cool. I get how like a productivity hack can change my life, but like in only 1 page, like, dang, that's pretty crazy. Like how is that possible? How is something can like so small give me a lot, give me such a big benefit? Another way of thinking about this is like getting a lot for a little. There's some curiosity there. There's a constraint there. So constraints, another word is like using the word only. So like the only way to brace a gate, the only way to do this, short time frames as well. So like, I went from 0 to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube in 10 days. It's like, dude, how is that possible? All those ways just kind of build some doubt in your audience's mind of like, dude, no way. But then they got to click and they got to find out.
Yeah, I love the open loops and curiosity gaps, because it's like one of those things where you like open the loop, hold the tension, and then close the loop later on. So I think that's really cool. Before we get to number 5, I just was curious on what your thoughts are. So I was going to make my first like longer form YouTube. I've only experimented with shorts, but I think that the title or the idea that I don't really have the title per se, but the idea for it is like, I got fired from my director of marketing role after 4 years, and I started a podcast there. It only had 7,000 downloads, but it still got me a job without having a resume. So the idea is like, even though with having a channel or a YouTube, or not, it wasn't even YouTube, it was like Spotify and Apple. So like a smaller like show, but it still was big enough with smaller audience to get me a job. So I don't know, like, what do you think on something like that? What would you focus on, just out of curiosity, just if you're riffing on an idea?
I love the drama. So like drama and milestones. So getting like fired from your job after 4 years. I would probably lean on that. And then maybe, or another way to do it is like, so this is like slightly misleading, but let's say your new job make you $100,000. So like, I made $100,000 with my podcast with only 700 downloads.
Oh, I see. And then it's true.
It's true. I'm not condoning that title, because it is a little misleading.
Sure.
But it's also true.
Yeah.
So that really kind of depends on how you want to do it. But yeah, drama and milestones is one. So getting fired, and then kind of hinting at why getting fired was the best day of my life.
Like you said earlier, it's like, that doesn't make any sense, and the person naturally wants to kick in on that. So what do we got for number 5? And then after 5, tell us a little bit about your software company you developed and what you do for a living.
Going back to your title, sure. You could do both. You could like, just like, hey, like I got fired, here's what's next. And then like another video is like, if that does well for you, is like why getting fired was the best day of my life, which also like, that
Oh,
could have some really broad appeal, and that could be interesting. It also could bring in the wrong audience. But yeah,
you need to tie it to podcasting though in the title, or is that all right? Just do you think just to just
um,
be vague about it and then talk about it in the video?
so it depends on your goals for the channel, for the video, or for the channel. So if you are just trying to build a personal brand, it doesn't really matter. If you're trying to get clients and you're trying to get the right clients or the right customers, then it matters more. So so yeah, everything kind of goes back to your initial strategy, because you could, if you have like an agency, you need 1,000 videos or 1,000 views a video, and you just need to get one or two clients, or one or two, a couple leads from each video. And that could be very profitable for you. It depends on a lot of things, but you don't need that much if you're trying to sell a $10 product, or if you're trying to sell Prime, like Logan Paul. You need billions of views. So yeah, it really depends on what your ultimate goal is. But I am a big fan of having a targeted, concentrated audience, and making all of your content is rowing in the same direction. You're not talking about podcasting and drop shipping, stuff like that.
I got it. Not a million different side hustles or anything like that. So what do we got for number 5?
So number 5 is just to take YouTube like an experiment. You don't one, that takes a lot of pressure off you, and then 2, it's okay, cool. I just want to have fun, and no video will be a failure. It will be either a huge success or a learning, kind of a learning event.
Sure.
So
A lot of those
that. What was that?
I've had a lot of the learning.
but here you are, and you learn, and and oh, okay, that's why this video didn't work well. Because it's honestly one of the most important things is publishing 100 videos. Because there's a lot of skill that goes into YouTube. It's not, it's not like you can only be good at titles, or only be good at lighting, or only be good at thumbnails, or only be good at content. You need to be good at kind of everything. And it's a lot of work, but it's very worth it. You can make tons of money. You can get your dream job. Like you started a podcast and you got your job. Same thing with YouTube. If you start a YouTube channel, you can get it sponsored, or get a job, or grow incredibly profitable SaaS company. There's so much opportunity, but it is a ton of effort. And I think that more people need to go look at things as experiments, and just all right, here's my hypothesis, publish video. Here's what I learned. This supports, refutes my hypothesis. Okay, let's move on and take those learnings onto my next video.
I love that because it kind of takes away the pressure of your ego, and if something gets 10 views or whatever, you're that. It's just, I think that people naturally get stuck in their heads, and they want things to be perfect, and they want to hold on so tightly instead of getting the lapse and falling on your face a bunch of times. So I really enjoy that as well. What about the company that you started? So you have a company that does titles. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what that's all about?
Yeah, I quit my job 4 years ago. I started a newsletter to help people write better YouTube titles. So I send 5 viral YouTube videos every Monday morning, and kind of break down why those work. And then I have a software that helps you write YouTube titles. So we talked about the 3 click-worthy emotions: curiosity, fear, and desire. We talked about some tactical ways to increase desire, so timeliness and calling out a specific audience. We talked about opening a loop and revealing a secret, and constraints. All of those are all tactical ways of writing better titles, and my software helps you do that. It kind of does it for you. So we have a title generator, and what you would do is you'd be I'm making a video about how to start a podcast. And then you're able to select all these different click triggers, which are just kind of angles, which is the tactical things we talked about. So you can select constraint, you can select open loop, and it'll generate 10 titles for you with those click triggers, and that just help make that title writing process quicker, and also kind of help you with help you think of different angles, and also just kind of combat that blank page syndrome, where it's all right, cool. now I see how how you would use this topic with these different angles, and that kind of get the wheels spinning. So yeah, that's a title generator, and that's Creator Hooks Pro. Creator Hooks is the newsletter, so creatorhooks.com. That's free, and then Creator Hooks Pro, you'll find it. If you just search Creator Hooks Pro, you'll find it.
Well, I appreciate your time. And where do people find you on LinkedIn or socials?
Jake Thomas, just look up Jake Thomas, LinkedIn or Twitter, primarily on Twitter, but hoping to step up my LinkedIn game soon. But yeah, Jake Thomas, it's a guy with a beard and a hat and a very handsome golden retriever, and you'll know that's me.
Awesome. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, man. Thanks, everybody.